He was one of the most powerful men in South America. Now he's trapped in a room smaller than a walk-in closet. Nicolás Maduro used to rule with an iron fist. Today he has to follow the strict rules of the American prison system. The prison holding the former Venezuelan president is a giant concrete block with thousands of tons of reinforced steel. He's kept in a special area where the lights never turn off and the doors only open with a remote signal. But this isn't some jail hidden out in the desert. It's a high-tech fortress sitting right in the middle of New York City. And that choice was on purpose. The MDC Brooklyn is a city fortress where every single floor is under strict control. For Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, the security isn't just about the bars and locks. It's a many-layered cage of rules, technology, and isolation. To get why this cage is so tough, you first have to look at how the U.S. snatched him from his palace. On January 3, 2026, the United States launched Operation Absolute Reserve, a mission that saw Special Forces soldiers dropped down on a military base in Caracas using helicopters. This wasn't a standard arrest. The U.S. government didn't just want to get Maduro to go to court, they wanted to show that no amount of power could protect someone from the full weight of American law. When the dictator landed at Stewart Air National Guard Base in New York, there was no warm welcome. He was met by police officers and federal agents, loaded onto a helicopter and flown straight to Manhattan. The charges against him, including narco-terrorism, are the reasons for his new life in the Metropolitan Detention Center, Brooklyn. Long before Maduro ever arrived, the Metropolitan Detention Center was opened in the 1990s as a holding facility for people awaiting trial. But that doesn't mean that it's a place to kill time. It is a federal building that holds over 1,300 prisoners, including some of the most famous criminals in the world, including Sean Diddy Combs, Ghislaine Maxwell, and drug king El Chapo. The conditions inside of the facility are often harder than in permanent Supermax prisons. The MDC has had problems with freezing temperatures, power outages, and a lack of guards. It is dark, crowded, and loud, with frequent complaints of mold, fungus, and poor quality food. In recent years, the MDC logged more than 800 maintenance requests in a single month, many for broken toilets and crumbling infrastructure. The MDC is infamous for its lengthy lockdown periods, as well as its problems with understaffing. This has made it nearly impossible to contain violent outbursts, and that has already turned deadly. In 2024, violent outbursts inside the MDC killed 2 prisoners. Before his arrest, Maduro was in Miraflores Palace, a huge presidential mansion with grand halls, manicured lawns, and opulent rooms. His new home has been described as disgusting and horrifying by prisoners and lawyers alike. In 2019, prisoners endured a week of sub-zero temperatures after the power was knocked out. Things got so bad, inmates sued the Bureau of Prisons, citing inhumane conditions and broken toilets. The lawsuit ended in a $10 million settlement split among about 1,600 inmates. But Maduro is not with the other prisoners. It's likely that he'll be placed in the Special Housing Unit or SHU. He will never see a common room, a cafeteria, or a yard filled with other people. He's held in a special area, but even there, he is in a cell within a cell. This is isolation by design, and it is only the first layer of what's coming. Before a guard ever speaks to him, the building itself has already decided he will be alone. His room is a small 8 by 10-foot cell. The walls are made of reinforced concrete with steel lined with sensors. Even the slightest vibration would lock the entire prison down. The door has no bars. It isn't a movie cell block. In MDC, the door is a solid piece of steel with a small slot at waist height for food, and it stays closed 24 hours a day. It's only opened from a separate control room by someone who never sets foot in the hallway. The furniture is all bolted to the floor. The bed is a concrete block, but he won't be getting much rest. He sleeps on one pillow with a thin 1.5-inch mattress that won't catch fire. There is a metal unit that works as both a toilet and a sink. There are no mirrors, only a piece of shiny metal that shows a blurry reflection. The lighting is provided by a single light bulb hidden behind a strong cover, and it never really goes out. At night, it changes to a dim orange light. It's just bright enough for the cameras to see Maduro's face. Wake-up call is 6 a.m. on the dot, and the first thing that greets the former president is gray walls. But he probably isn't getting much sleep. He's also expected to make his bed every day after he awakes, to mop the floor and keep his toilet and sink clean. There is no escape. A network of cameras cover every inch of the prison. A special team of officers watches him at all times, when he eats, when he paces back and forth, when he sleeps. If Maduro stops moving for too long, a guard bangs on the steel door. A reminder that stillness is not allowed. Silence causes alarm. Few people are built to endure this for long, and that is the point. Time inside the MDC almost stands still. There are no clocks in the cells, Morning, afternoon, and night all blur together under the same artificial light. For Maduro, time is reduced to routines. Meals through a slot, counts, brief movements under watch. This kind of isolation isn't accidental. Inmates describe the same effect: looping thoughts, broken sleep, and a growing sense that nothing exists beyond the concrete walls. MDC Brooklyn operates under the strictest rules in the American system, and for Maduro, these rules mean he is cut off from everyone. Maduro isn't just separated from other prisoners, he is removed from social interaction entirely. No voices, no faces, no unfiltered words. Every message he sends is stripped apart before it even leaves the building. He isn't allowed to speak to other prisoners. Even his defense is controlled. He can see his lawyers, but he can't touch the paper in their hands. Meetings take place in a room divided by thick, strong glass. They cannot pass papers to each other. Every document is scanned and checked by the government first. Whenever they move him to court, the streets of New York turn into a high-speed zone for the military. Even when Maduro had to leave the prison to go to the courthouse in Manhattan, security stayed tight. It was a military operation in downtown New York. A man used to convoys of luxury vehicles traveled in a line of armored cars that turned the streets of New York into a temporary safe zone. Maduro was first searched and then fitted with a black box, a heavy steel device that went over his handcuffs. Chains were wrapped around his waist, wrists, and ankles. The chains were so short that he could only take small steps. He was put into the back of an armored van with no windows. This van had its own air supply in the case of a gas attack, and it can survive a bomb or a rocket. The guards traveled in a line of cars that usually had at least 6 black SUVs filled with special tactical officers. NYPD cleared the normally busy Manhattan streets, while police boats followed from the water and helicopters watched from the sky. For the people watching from the sidewalks, it looked like traffic control. For Maduro, it is a reminder that even movement happens on someone else's terms. The toughest part of Maduro's new life isn't physical, it is the shock of becoming irrelevant overnight. His decisions changed lives, determined the fate of a country. Now everything has changed. MDC doesn't care who he used to be. The most damaging part of Maduro's security isn't visible at all, it is mental. He was a man who lived like a king for years. He was always surrounded by his wife, guards, and loyal followers. In the prison, that is taken away. He no longer has access to extravagant meals. Instead, he eats basic prison meals: warm pasta, processed meat, and a piece of fruit if he's lucky. An MDC prisoner recently complained about maggots in the food. The food arrives through a slot in the door, and he never has the chance to speak to anyone. It's one of 3 meals that he'll receive each day that meets the 1,800 calories required by law. Prisoners are not allowed to wear their own clothes. Disappointing news for Maduro and his gray Nike sweatsuit. Now he wears a blue and orange jumpsuit. His name is gone, it's replaced entirely by a number. There is no TV, no internet, and no newspapers unless they are old and they have sections cut out. He spends 23 hours a day inside his cell. His 1 hour of exercise happens in another concrete cage, a room with a fence for a ceiling that lets him hear the buzz of the city but never see it. Conditions like this are known to cause sensory collapse. Prisoners have nothing to see, touch, or hear. The constant light and the lack of human contact are meant to make a prisoner feel weak before they ever go to trial. The guards watching him are being watched too. They are changed frequently so they don't become overly friendly with him. They are checked to make sure they aren't taking any money. The risk for a guard to help Maduro is high. They would lose their job and go to jail themselves. If a judge finds him guilty, his next home will be even more lonely than this one. For now, Maduro sits alone in his cell while his lawyers fight to keep him out of a permanent tomb. They argue that he was kidnapped and that because he was a leader, he shouldn't be in trouble. But the US courts have already said that those rules don't count for the crimes he's accused of. What happens next depends on the trial. If he's found guilty, his security will get even tighter. If he's convicted, Brooklyn isn't the end of his story. It is the beginning of something far more permanent. Maduro would likely be moved from Brooklyn to ADX Florence in Colorado. This is the Alcatraz of the Rockies. At ADX, the cells are made of poured concrete so that the bed, the desk, and the chair are all one piece of stone. There, Maduro would spend the rest of his life seeing only a tiny sliver of the sky. The point is not comfort, it's control. From the moment the soldiers entered his home, the process was already underway, and it ends inside a concrete box under a light that never shuts off. The system doesn't care who he used to be. It doesn't threaten, it doesn't explain itself. It just slams the door shut. To understand how Nicolás Maduro ended up in this situation, watch what actually went wrong with Venezuela, or click on this video instead.